Going to call this regularly scheduled meeting of the 29 Palms Planning Commission to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call vote, please. Or roll call.
Commissioner Dixon?
Here.
Commissioner Cruciat?
Here.
Commissioner Walker?
Here.
Vice Chair Paahana?
Here.
Chair Mendoza?
Here.
All present?
Announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on the City of 29 Palms website, www.29palms.org, and you may also live stream this meeting by going on the city website and clicking on the meeting agendas link. Public comments. This is the time for the public to address the commission on issues within the jurisdiction of the commission that are not on this agenda. All comments are to be directed to the chair of the commission and shall not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during their comments. There is a time limitation of 3 minutes per person, and if you haven't already done so, please fill out name and address slips and give them to the Planning Commission Secretary. The Planning Commission is prohibited by the Brown Act from taking action or discussing at length items not included on this printed agenda. Public comments for specific agenda items will be deferred until consideration of the item on the agenda. I have no requests to speak for public comments. Okay, commission comments, reports of meetings attended. Jim?
I attended the last city council meeting, and that was very interesting. A lot of things discussed, but that was the only thing.
Leslie?
I did not attend any other meetings since our last planning commission meeting.
Max?
I haven't attended any meetings since the last planning commission meeting.
Jason?
I have not attended any meetings as well.
And I have only attended some nonprofit meetings, so there's nothing to report. We've been working with the city on getting the Pioneer Days buttons designed, and we're very close to making a choice. Okay, consent calendar. Approval of the Planning Commission meeting minutes of August 18th, 2020. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
Yes, I do have a correction under roll call. Commissioners present. There's an extra A in my last name.
Oh, there is. Noted.
Other than that,
and there's no N.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and no N. Thank you.
Noted. I'll
Also,
make the change. Yeah. Thank you.
So
thank you
now we
everyone
can
for
just tell you,
helping me
"Ha, ha,
spell
ha."
that.
Okay.
Other than that, that correction in my last name, I would motion that we approve them.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes as corrected. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Dixon?
Aye.
Commissioner Cruciat?
Aye.
Commissioner Walker?
Aye.
Vice Chair Paahana?
Aye.
Chair Mendoza?
Aye.
5-0 approved.
Okay, public hearings. Appeal of vacation home rental, VHR 118. The vacation home rental is Beck. And I'm going to turn this over to our city planning director, Travis.
Mr. Chairman, I'll ask our assistant planner to give us a presentation. This evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. This item is an appeal of a vacation home rental permit. The VHR applicant is Sarah Beck, and the appellant is John Cole. The location of the VHR is 72935 Siesta Drive. The property is zoned residential, single family, 4 dwelling units per acre. The property is 0.43 acres. So this is a location map of the vacation home rental. It's north of 2 Mile Drive, east of Mesquite Springs. And then the next is some photos of the home. The appellant has cited the following reason as basis for the appeal. His concern is that the size of the structure with 4 bedrooms will allow for large crowds and also the potential for noise in a quiet neighborhood. There have been no complaints to code enforcement regarding this property, nor does the Sheriff's Department have any records of any calls to this address. The applicant for the vacation home rental has submitted all required documents to the city. The required safety inspection has been completed with building and safety, and the applicant is in compliance with all requirements for the vacation home rental permit. If there were any violations after approval, the city could cite the applicant for those violations, not renew the permit based on those violations, or revoke the permit based on those violations. Therefore, staff's recommendation is that the commission deny the appeal of the vacation home rental and approve the application for the vacation home rental permit.
Thank you, Diane. Are there any questions of staff? Thank you, Diane.
I just want to note that the appellant will not be attending the meeting, and he did not submit a letter in writing.
We have one?
I'm sorry?
We
John
have?
Cole, the appellant?
We have a appeal, oh, this is the application, I'm sorry.
Oh, appeal
Yeah, that's
application.
that's the appeal application. He chose not to attend the meeting or submit a letter in writing.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. I'm going to open the public hearing at this time. The appellant is not here. Is the applicant here? Would you like to speak?
Sure.
Right up to the podium there, and
Hello, how is everybody? So I'm thankful to have the opportunity to stand up and to try to ask for this appeal to be dismissed. And I'm a business owner in the community, and I own the building at Mesquite, or 72051 29 Palms Highway. We're actually be opening up a new business there on October the 4th. And I am trying to do everything that I can above board, try to do all the applications correct, get all the permits correct, and I'm trying to work with the city on several different things that I'm going to be doing. And this is yet another thing that is a passion of mine. This is not the first vacation rental that I've done. And I'm very aware of noise ordinance, and I believe that I will be very strict with the people that do come there. You know, we do have a choice to vet the people that do come and to make sure that they are complying with the noise ordinance, because the area is very nice. It's very quiet, but there is noise in the area. We do have a couple of problem people in the area. So it's not just a super quiet area, but it is nice, and I expect that I want to make sure that I comply with the city and all the ordinance needed.
okay. Any questions of the applicant? I have one. I want to make it clear this has nothing to do with the matter before us. Curious as to what business you're wanting to open?
We're opening up a barber shop
Oh,
in the old Trinkets and Toms building. And
Oh.
so we put the mural on the
Oh,
building, and actually it's
okay.
going to be breaking ground October the 4th.
great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions of the applicant? Okay. I'll close the public hearing, bring it back up to the dais. Any questions or comments, discussion from any commissioner? Hearing none, does anyone wish to make a motion?
I make a motion that we deny the appeal and approve the application for the home rental.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll go ahead and second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Dixon?
Aye.
Commissioner Krushat?
Aye.
Commissioner Walker?
Aye.
Vice Chair Paahana?
Aye.
Chair Mendoza?
Aye.
It is 5-0 to deny the appeal and allow the vacation home rental to operate.
Open and good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next we have is our discussion and potential action items. Anything from the commission? Okay. Community Development Director updates.
Mr. Chair, could I ask that we do the study session before that and
Okay,
save my comments towards the end?
all right, we'll change the agenda around and we'll do accessory drilling unit study session at this time.
And I'll ask Diane to come up. She's now our resident expert on ADUs.
Works for me.
Sorry. All right, good evening. In October of 2019, the state of California adopted new regulations on accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. Those regulations require that local jurisdictions must allow ADUs on property zoned as single-family residential, multifamily residential, or mixed use. An ADU is defined as an attached or detached residential dwelling unit that provides complete independent living facilities and is located on a lot with an existing or proposed primary residence. A junior accessory dwelling unit is an additional unit contained entirely within an existing single-family structure. And an efficiency unit is a dwelling unit which provides occupancy for not more than 2 persons having a minimum floor area of 220 square feet. One ADU or JADU may be located on any residentially zoned lot containing a single-family residence. One ADU may be located on any lot zoned mixed use containing a single-family residence. 2 ADUs may be located on any multifamily lot containing a multifamily dwelling. 1 ADU may be located within an existing multifamily dwelling in areas that are not currently used as living space, such as storage areas, attics, or basements. ADUs are not considered when evaluating density requirements. ADUs or JADUs shall be a minimum of 220 square feet. The maximum size of an ADU for a studio or 1 bedroom is 850 square feet, and the maximum size of an ADU containing 2 or more bedrooms is 1,200 square feet. A JADU shall not exceed 500 square feet. An ADU shall not exceed 16 feet in height. ADUs are required to adhere to the front and street side yard setbacks for the zoning district. However, the side and rear setback may be reduced to 4 feet. One parking space shall be provided for the ADU. This may be provided as tandem parking on the driveway. If an existing covered parking structure is converted to an ADU, those covered parking spaces are not required to be replaced. ADUs must be approved ministerially and are reviewed as part of the building permit process. ADUs must conform to the California Building Code, and an ADU may be rented separately from the primary residence but may not be sold separately. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, to that I would add, obviously this is all prescribed from the state and the state law that in essence is forcing us to change our development code. Even though the state says we should allow these, obviously it's dependent on whether the site can support it. And first and foremost is septic. So if the site cannot support an additional ADU or JDU in the septic system, then it would not be allowed. The other thing I would mention is this reduced setback of 4 feet is kind of concerning, especially when you're in a rural area, and we have 5 acre lots. I think our smallest side yard setback is 10 feet. So it obviously puts them a lot closer to the neighboring property owner. We did ask the state about, well, what about those situations where we have an existing utility easement? And the answer was, if you have an existing utility easement, then the setback would be from that utility easement. there's a lot of tracks in the city where there's a 10-foot utility easement, mainly serving the electric lines, and so you would pull back from that utility easement. So those are just kind of two nuances of this new code that we're have to adopt here soon.
Yeah, so you're saying that, like, the setback, here's the electric, easement or whatever, 10 feet, so from that 10 feet, it'd be another 4 feet?
That's correct. Yeah.
Just wanna make sure.
Yep. Yes.
No, it seems good, because I thought it was 15 feet back from electricity anyway, so that saves me a foot, so I'm good.
Max? Right. A couple of clarifications. A junior ADU says must be contained solely within a residential structure.
Yes, that's correct.
Could you give me an example of that?
Well, it would be, it has to be inside the existing single-family residence. A JADU cannot be built inside of, let's say, a detached garage or a storage building. It is an additional residential unit inside the existing single-family dwelling.
So if I converted a garage that was attached, that would be a junior ADU?
That would be an ADU.
Okay,
If you added, like, if you converted a bedroom in your home
Okay, I
to an
got you.
additional dwelling unit, that would be a JADU.
Yeah, or family room. In the old days, we used to call them granny flats.
right,
Where you
Okay.
have kind of the wing for the grandma.
okay.
But it would have, a bathroom and some sort of kitchen type of facilities in it as well.
And so now these ADUs can have a full kitchen, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And the other question is, I know you explained about the septic, what about lot coverage? Does that,
They would be allowed regardless of the local lot coverage.
really?
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that answers my questions.
Yep.
Anybody else? Okay, that concludes the study session, I guess. And now we'll move on to Community Development Director updates.
Okay. So our plan is to bring this back to you as a development code amendment, which we've already written, and the reason it's kind of taken a while to bring it to you is because we did run it through the state first. There are organizations out there that watch cities pretty carefully to make sure that they adopt code consistent with the state regulations, and we wanted to make sure that we had their approval on that. So here are some updates for you. Project Phoenix is on schedule for undergrounding. They're installing the conduit. It's almost at Cholla now. They've started at Tamarisk and worked their way east. They did receive the purchase order from Frontier, and so there will not be any demobilization and then mobilization again. They can keep working through on schedule. We're currently working on the bid documents for the civil site work. So that's how close we are on the civil side. On the building side, construction documents are probably around 95%. The plan is still to bid this out in early December and hopefully be under construction around late February, March timeframe. The other thing I wanted to mention is a discussion on vacation home rentals will be brought before City Council at their meeting tomorrow evening. Obviously, we have almost every meeting a VHR appeal, and so Council had requested that this be put on their agenda as a discussion item. So we created a staff report with all the basic information, facts, and statistics about VHRs in the city. Tomorrow. Yeah, it's a special meeting for tomorrow, yeah. Also wanted to mention that we are seeing an uptick in building permits in the city. There's been quite a bit of uptick as far as renovation goes, but now we're actually seeing some new houses come in. You know, we went for several years where we had very few, I think one year almost zero new houses, but now we're starting to see groups of them come in, so that's all good news. The planning for our Pioneer Park continues. We have held 5 community meetings, all relatively small, so that we stayed in compliance with the county COVID restrictions. But I got a lot of good feedback out of those meetings. We've also conducted an online survey. We had over 375 people respond to that. got a lot of good feedback. And then there's been one online design charrette where we talked about the initial layout of the project. We're shooting for October 3rd date where we would unveil some concepts to the public in an open house type of format for that. The survey of the folks responding to the online WebMonkey survey was quite interesting. The number one feature people were requesting was the splash pad water park at 80%. And the plan is still to pursue that, but to keep with the original plan of keeping it at Knott Sky Park. As you will recall, we went through a whole public engagement series of meetings there. The residents really wanted it there. It kind of makes a little bit more sense that it be there within the neighborhood with the residents and a lot of children living nearby than necessary at Pioneer Park. A lot of other things they were looking for in a park included the picnic shelters, playgrounds, paved walking and biking areas were rated very high. And then also outdoor concert and performance area was rated pretty high. So we're working on a concept plan that takes all of this into consideration, and we'll be unveiling that in the near future. We also will be circling back and holding at least 2 more community meetings on Knott Sky Park. One to just kind of say where we are in the grant process. We know we were really close last time because the feedback from the state was, hey, you only need to have 2 more meetings and change this one thing and then resubmit. So they couldn't tell us pursue, but the feedback was very positive on that. So we've got a little bit of tweaking to do on that application, and then 2 more community meetings for that. We wanted to go through the Pioneer Park planning stage just to see what was requested there as far as facilities and make sure that what we're submitting is making sense across both parks. The other news that I'll provide is, last year we submitted a grant application for the Channel Trail. This is another Prop 68 Trails and Greenway grant fund. It was last October is when we submitted that. In March, we did receive a letter that we did not make the cut to go to step 2. So we kind of set it aside while we focused on a lot of things. 2 weeks ago, we received a call from Natural Resources saying, guess what, you made it to step 2. In essence, somebody dropped out that was ahead of us, and our scores must have ranked pretty high because we were next in line. So the next step was to hold a virtual site visit this time instead of one in person. We did conduct that last week, and it went very well. And by the end of the day, they said, well, go ahead and move to step 3 in submitting all the formal documentation and backup information. And that's due October 12th. So City Council is going to consider the submission of the grant application tomorrow. But I just wanted to refresh your mind about what the project actually is. This is actually a presentation that we put together for the virtual site visit. This trail has been in our planning documents many, many years, over 20 years. So the Parks and Rec Master Plan, the General Plan, Community Trails Master Plan, and then most recently, you'll recall we presented the Morongo Basin Active Transportation Plan to you all to review. And so it was in the Morongo Basin ATP, and it was actually ranked the #1 project in the Morongo Basin as far as overall score. And so this actually helped us a lot in our grant application, seeing that it was ranked high, not just by us, the city, but also by our peers. What we applied for the first phase of funding was for this section here, between Adobe Road and Split Rock Avenue. So it's a small section, it's about 2,000 linear feet. But the reason why we selected that section is because the banks there are mostly armored. There are other places along the trail where the banks are not armored, and we did have some erosion actually during the last summer rainfall that we had. So we obviously want to build a trail where it makes sense and where it's going to be protected. The path is 10 feet wide. It would have a decomposed granite running path next to it. We also included these embedded solar lights in the path. These are lights that you actually embed in the concrete, and they use solar and light up at night to provide a little bit of safety, and then some fencing on the property to protect the private property. It was a very simple design. We did that intentionally so that flood control could easily maintain the channel. We didn't put a lot of landscaping along the banks and things like that, so that they could easily get in there and maintain the channel. We had 2 trailheads, one at Adobe and one at Split Rock Avenue, which would have a bench, trash cans, some shade trees, shrubs, water filter at Adobe Road, and signage about flood safety at Split Rock. So very kind of simple design. I can go over here and show you a little bit more. This is the project map here. It would be on the south bank of the flow control channel, again running between Adobe Road and Split Rock Avenue. We have in process a design underway to replace the at-grade crossing at Split Rock Avenue with a bridge. You all will probably recall the incident that happened there with the drowning at Split Rock, and why it's important to actually change those at-grade crossings to bridge crossings. So that's in design. It's been in design for a while. It's been at Caltrans for a while for approval, to get their approval on the design, and then we can move forward. There's no construction funds yet for that bridge, but it is on the list of bridge projects in the state. So the idea is that the trail would, essentially meet the bridge flush at that point. When the bridge is built, the trail would meet flush at grade of the bridge instead of down in the channel. Just a little simple concept of the trailhead at Adobe, and then similar at Split Rock. Simple section. The idea is we would build it close to the fence line, again, so that we keep enough space between the channel, banks, and the trail, so it should erosion occur. And then just some photos that we shared with the state of the project area. So it would be a really nice amenity. It would also connect to the Class 1 trails that we have in place already, going up to El Paseo and the high school and elementary school off of Paseo, as well as going south towards downtown. So this is where we're at. Council will consider the grant application tomorrow evening in their meeting. If it's a go, then we'll rush to gather all the documentation that they require to submit a formal application. So it's a good sign. You'll recall we did get similar grant funding for the new Joshua Tree Visitor Center. This is actually out of the same group of folks that we got it from. And once you pass step 2, that's a really good sign. That's the biggest hurdle. Not that step 3 is easy by any means, but step 2 is the hardest one. So, and that's all I have as far as updates.
I have a question.
Sure.
For concept dates, what was that again? You're gonna show some of the-
We're hoping it's going to be October 3rd that we'll present the concepts. One of the things that we were waiting on was our early environmental studies, so we know what kind of constraints or restrictions that we have on the site. So we did get that. We got the early, it's called a jurisdictional delineation, but basically delineates the drainage patterns within the site to identify those. But we did play around with some initial concepts that are online design charrette, but we'll unveil them to the public in October. Right now we're shooting for October 3rd. And the idea is that we would also have tacos available at the event to bring people out and have them view and make comments. But in an open house format, so we don't have everybody coming kind of at the same time. And this grant, both grants for Pioneer Park and Knott Sky Park, they're due December 14th. So at the same time, they'll both go in.
Any other questions of staff?
No, Mr. Chairman, I just want to say, Mr. Clark, I really appreciate what you and your staff have done. I know that we got the additional $2 million for the visitor center because of you leading those activities of you and your staff. And this is the most active I've seen our community development department in a long time. I mean, we're actively pursuing the grant money that helps us out in the long run. And I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you. We have a little scoreboard of our wins and losses, and so when this one was in the loss, I'm like, oh gosh, we're 3 of 5, but looks like we may be 4 or 5 now. And
Excellent.
if we win on a resubmit of Knott Sky Park, we'll be 5 of 5, so that's pretty good. Yeah.
And I would also say that having been somewhat consulted on some projects, I can tell you that the planning department and Travis and his staff have received numerous compliments from people who are proposing projects or looking at projects. So that's a very good thing. And thank you on behalf of the commission.
Well, thank you, and I have a wonderful staff here to back me up. Makes it all possible.
Okay, anything else for the good of the commission? Questions, comments, witticisms, criticisms, funny stories, choice bits of gossip? Hearing none, we stand adjourned.